Shana Tova again. We hope you have enjoyed your 20-minute cocktail hour, or whatever this just was. We're ready to step in more deeply into Rosh Hashanah, now really bolstered with the spirit of community. We'll invite you to take your seat if you can, and we'll spend just a few moments in quiet contemplation. We're lucky. This is also such a blessing. See, Dr. John Rubenstein, who always plays this opening reflection with his oboe, is usually up there and you can't see him. But now you can. So you can look at John or close your eyes, look in your machzor, whatever it is that you need to do to really contemplate that we are here standing on the precipice of a new year. Hayom Harad Ha'olam, the world is born this day, which means that everything in front of us is possible again.
Here in this place of prayer and song, hear the call that stirs the soul. All may enter, let none stand apart. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov. How beautiful are your tents, Yaakov, your dwelling places, O Israel.
Oh
The Torah tells us in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, we shall observe a sacred occasion commemorated with the loud blasts. The 12th century thinker Maimonides reflects, even though the blowing of the shofar on Rosh Hashanah is a biblical decree, it hints at something to us today. As if to say, wake up, sleepers. Wake up, all you who sleep. Search your ways and return into Teshuvah and repentance, and remember your Creator. We'll hear now the first of 3 times the shofar will be sounded, a series of intentional blasts here in the front of our room. The theme of this first section is Malchuyot, calling our attention to God's majesty and might, inviting us to meditate on the role of God in our lives and in the creation of the universe.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishmoa kol shofar. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Please rise.
תקיע שברים תרוע תקיע שברים תקיע תרוע תקיע.
Please be seated. After acknowledging God's majesty with the sounding of shofar, and before we continue into the rest of our liturgy in our prayer books, I offer this sermon as an invitation for how we might approach this coming year, as individuals and collectively, despite the chaos that many of us feel in our everyday lives. I remember the first time that I looked up and saw the stars. It was the middle of the night, and I was running between cabins at summer camp with a group of my friends. For this boy who grew up in New York City, I remember first feeling frightened and shocked by the brilliance up above. The world experienced something similar this past July on a much grander scale when the James Webb Space Telescope captured the deepest views of the universe to date. Suddenly, we saw the celestial bodies like never before, some nebula and galaxies for the first time ever. Just like when many summers ago I noticed the Milky Way arrayed across our sky for the first time, those ultra-deep field images that NASA released this past summer have stunned researchers and opened everyone's eyes to the vastness of the universe. Of note, those images we received appear still and serene, but of course we know that they are anything but. Remember, the nebula and the stars originated in a Big Bang and continue to explode and expand, fiercely interacting. The laws of science dictate that anything far away will always look as if they're moving slowly, or not at all. Consider an airplane taking off in front of you. Up close, it takes just a second or two to whiz past. But an airplane going the same speed or faster at altitude, well, it looks to us on the ground as if it's hovering still in the sky. Because the James Webb Space Telescope is so far away from the images it's capturing, they appear still. This illusion gives us a false impression about the fluidity and the chaos of the universe, filtering how we perceive creation unfolding all around. The word universe is also misleading, containing the Latin roots unus, one, and versus, which means revolving. The literal meaning of the word universe refers to that which is turned wholly in the same direction. In his recently translated work, Genesis, the story of how everything began, Guido Tonelli writes about the dissonance between the literal meaning of the word universe and the chaotic, swirling reality of the great beyond. As Professor Tonelli explains, the word universe is a residue of all of the ancient beliefs that invariably involve a stable and ordered system of rotating bodies. The Space Telescope has affirmed that much of the universe is not ordered or stable at all, but an ever-expanding collection of matter in flux. Much of the universe is, as our book of Genesis describes, tohu vavohu, chaotic and unformed. The distant chaos in our stars mirrors the chaos that many of us are feeling in our lives here on Earth. We have all, each and every one of us, been through so much recently, for the last 2.5 years, and even over these last 2.5 months. For so many of us, the depths of life's burdens and struggles, no doubt, weigh heavier than they have ever before. We're living through incredibly challenging times, individually and collectively, locally, nationally, and globally. Beyond the trauma from July 4th and the continued physical, mental, and spiritual suffering of so many in our community. Beyond the pandemic and its societal long-haul symptoms, there is so much that can make us feel like the ground upon which we walk is not steady. Whether it be continued anti-Semitism and security concerns, Russia's war on Ukraine and violence here at home, issues of injustice, worries about the economy, the ever-increasing toxic polarization of our society, and the list goes on. It all can feel like too much. I feel it too. Today, I want to suggest that the James Webb Space Telescope is more valuable to us than NASA could have ever imagined. The telescope's incredible technical design offers us wisdom into how we could better take in all of the chaos all around us in our everyday lives, and then work to transform that chaos into blessing in this new year. The first lesson that the telescope teaches us is about patience. Positioned 1 million miles out beyond the moon, the Space Telescope orbits at a distance away so that light from Earth, our moon, and even the sun will not interfere. In its optimal position, the telescope is directed at precise points in space for its instruments to capture the infrared light that we cannot see, but we feel as heat emanating from the early universe. The massive telescope peers out at a swath of space equivalent to the amount of sky covered by a grain of sand held at arm's length. And then it sits and waits the amount of time requested by its programmers on the ground. Photon by photon, it gathers data that are compiled together to create those majestic images we have all enjoyed for these past couple months. As countercultural as the notion has become, patience is a virtue for NASA's telescope and for us. As one business leader reflects, nowadays, when we're feeling hungry, we don't have to go through the painstaking process of preparing ingredients, mixing or sautéing them in a pan, and washing the dishes afterwards. A few taps on our phones is all it takes to order delicious food within the hour. If we're missing someone and we want to see them right away, we no longer have to wait for one or both of us to be free, for our schedules to clear up, or to travel great distances to see them. We have Zoom and FaceTime for that. With advanced technology, we enjoy instant gratification and have come to expect it like a basic right. At the same time, unfortunately, we are slowly forgetting what it means to be patient. We know that cultivating patience is even more difficult when we're experiencing chaos, faced with real emergencies or just scenarios that feel like emergencies in the moment. Let's be real. Who could tell the difference between the two anymore? Jewish tradition offers us step-by-step directions for navigating these stressful situations with patience. The insight comes in the quick succession of 5 verbs in Exodus, when Moses is faced with the stressful task of leading those frenzied Israelites across the Sea of Reeds and eventually onward to safety in the Promised Land. In English, the verse begins, Moses says to the people, "Collect yourselves." First, knowing that something must be done, stop running. Al tira'u. Do not be afraid. Second, with a deep breath, perhaps many, stand still and reorient yourself to the world. Hit yatzvu, collect yourselves. Next, really see the situation with clear mind. Uru, see. And only then, after stopping and quieting our racing thoughts, are we able to do as Moses invites, to be still. Tacharishun. Better prepare to decipher the chaos and make our next right move. Rather than reacting right away to that chaos, we can resist the urge and allow ourselves time to take in as much information as possible before making our informed choice about what to do next. Which brings me to a second lesson from NASA's telescope. It teaches us sometimes enough is enough. First, consider that in this pioneer year of the telescope's inquiry, there is only a possible 10,000 hours of observation time. Not that much, considering the number of inquiries and the sheer magnitude of space that remains uncharted. So it's up to 200 scientists to determine what is studied and what to postpone for another time based on 3 clear criteria. How much the proposal will impact knowledge within a subfield, how much it will advance astronomy in general, and whether this proposed idea requires the unique capabilities of this particular telescope to be successful. The intention is to study a diverse range of topics and not focus too long on any single matter. It's an approach that researchers hope will yield a more holistic understanding of space. And over time, the diversity of findings will help paint a broad picture. The decision was made to spend a set period of time on many tasks rather than just exploring a few for longer amounts of time. Because too focused a look can yield too narrow a scope of conclusions. Let me say that again. Too focused a look can yield too narrow a scope of conclusions. That's the second lesson for us. Sometimes we need to simply cut ourselves off or redirect our focus in order to maintain a broader perspective of reality. At times, to maintain our sanity. This has been discussed a lot in relation to trends in social media and its negative impact on mental health. Professor Jeremy Tyler of the Perelman School of Medicine reflects, originally it was thought that people with social anxiety might benefit from social media use, since it can serve as a stepping stone for social interaction. In many cases, however, the pressure of gaining more likes and more friends has had the opposite effect. Instead of making people feel like they are more connected, it actually forces them to realize how disconnected they are. That was a problem for many of us who were using social media during the pandemic, often much more than in the before times, because, like the professor says, our use just reminded us how disconnected we were. Now, more than a year later, warns Nicole Fullerton of Penn Medicine News, pandemic-related challenges have slowed down, and social media feeds are swinging back to many of the same old pitfalls that have made them difficult for mental health for years. Misinformation, heavily edited photos. For those reasons, many professionals suggest limiting social media for the sake of our own wellness, inviting us to demonstrate more compassion for others, those profiles that we're viewing, as well as compassion for ourselves. Compassion to know when enough is enough. Again, Jewish tradition supports this teaching too. Our sages taught compassion is an extremely noble trait. It's one of the 13 attributes of God. Of course, they're referring to that verse in Exodus, Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, God compassionate and gracious. Which the High Holy Day Machzor borrows as an introduction to our Torah service. Atop Mount Sinai, for the second time, God reminds Moses that the Eternal is compassionate and gracious. A divine reminder that as God's creations formed in God's image, we too must always strive to be gracious and compassionate as well. To ourselves, to each other, to all things. As our clergy said in that video message that we shared with the congregation before the holiday, we invite you to bring with you to these high holy days a deepened sense of patience, kindness, and of compassion, first and foremost for yourselves, but also for your fellow congregants and for our NSCI staff. Extending our kindness towards each other will undoubtedly go a long way towards all of our eventual healing in this most challenging time for all of us. And just as our teshuvah and the soul work that this season invites is not supposed to end at Yom Kippur, well, we can also bring that practice of kindness and compassion with us into the new year. Cultivating such a practice, as all intentional rituals are designed to do, will help make it easier for us to deal with life's inevitable chaos that we experience each day. As my teacher, Rabbi Aaron Penkin of blessed memory, taught, Our actions may not change the ultimate outcome one iota, but they'll alter our attitudes, bolster our ability to withstand challenges, help us handle unavoidable misfortune better, and see life's value amid the chaos and the dismay. In other words, Jewish tradition offers us tools, namely patience and compassion, to help us navigate life's most uncertain and chaotic moments. They are what we can rely on in order to transcend the harshness of life right now. There's something comforting about the longevity of the stars. Sure, stars die, as all things do, but given their lifespan relative to ours, it's remarkable how the same stars we'll see tonight in our sky are the same that I saw those many summers ago at camp, and the same light that has illuminated the dark nights since the beginning of time. They shine on, steadfast and enduring, despite all of the chaos all around. Both the stars and the James Webb Space Telescope, designed to capture their light, are models for us today. As we step into the new year of 5783, may we too utilize the gifts of patience and compassion for ourselves and for everybody else, as we individually and collectively navigate the uncertainty and the chaos here on earth. Shana Tova. May this year be one of blessing, healing, and of compassion for us all. I invite you now to step into the Machzor with us. Let's turn together to page 142, and if you're feeling able, please rise for Baruch Hu.
Let's continue together in the English in the middle of the page. Source of blessings, our eternal God, your power fills the cosmos, shaping light, creating darkness, making peace, and fashioning all things. Infinite light is preserved in life's treasure house. Lights from the darkness, said God. It was so. 144. In love, you bring light to the earth and its creatures. Your goodness renews the creation each day. Infinite, varied, and rich are your works, divine artist. All of them wrought with wisdom. The whole earth is teeming with life. Awestruck by the universe, work of your hands, let all life bless you, praise you, and celebrate the beauty of your lights. May you shine a new light on Zion, and may we soon be privileged to share in that light. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot. Page 150, let's join together in Shema. If Shema is our statement, our motto, inviting us to listen, to pay attention, to be aware of the unity that we are all called into, then V'ahavta is our instruction manual, how to make that possible. Let's sing together 152.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת עמם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין דיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Step 1 of Rabbi Daniel's sermon is where he referenced 5 verbs that occur in quick following in our book of Exodus, and those verses come just before our ancestors step into and cross the Sea of Reeds to reach their freedom. We sing of this freedom experienced anytime we sing Mi Chamocha, and it's that invitation to be aware, to get still, to collect ourselves, that ultimately enables us to understand that we are in fact free. Not free from the obligations of life, but free to step in more deeply, free to choose, free to embrace a path, free to dive in wholeheartedly. Mi Chamocha is on page 164.
Rabbi Morris Adler teaches, prayer is a step on which we rise from the self we are to the self we wish to be. Prayer affirms the hope that no reality can crush, the aspiration that can never acknowledge defeat. We begin Amidah, page 168.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor VaNorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei HaKol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot ve'Imaot, U'mevii Gula Livnei Bneihem, Le'ma'an Shemo ve'Ahava. Avraham Bishrat Sarah. Ata gibor leolam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol ata Rab lehoshia, Morid hatar, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somek noflim v'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei avar. Mi chamocha bal nebulot, Umi domelach, Melech meimit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua. Mi chamocha el harachamim, Zocher yitzurav lechayim berachamim, V'ne'eman ata lachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
In the normal, everyday of our lives, we spend so much time building up an illusion of control. But then the High Holy Days, and in particular the liturgical piece into which we are about to move, Unatan Tokef, well, these arrive to remind us of the truth, how profoundly our lives can be altered by the random occurrences over which we have no control. We know this truth so profoundly and so personally. But teshuvah, cultivating a commitment to be the best of who we can be, tefillah, cultivating gratitude, connecting with our history and the values that bind us, and tzedakah, cultivating generosity and pursuing what is right, well, these help us to be able to face whatever it is we must with greater resilience, courage, and strength. Hope is not just a feeling or a mindset. It is something we activate through how we behave in the world. This is the deeper message abiding at the heart of Unetana Tokef. We'll begin on 174. Page 176. And so a great shofar will cry to Kia. A still small voice will be heard. Angels in a whirl of fear and trembling will say, "Behold the day of judgment, for they too are judged. In your eyes, even they are not blameless." Let's join together. All who come into the world pass before you like sheep before their shepherd, as a shepherd considers the flock when it passes beneath the staff. You count and consider every life. You set bounds. You decide destiny. You inscribe judgments. 178. On Rosh Hashanah, this is written. On the fast of Yom Kippur, this is sealed. How many will pass away from this world? How many will be born into it? Who will live and who will die? Who will reach the ripeness of age? Who will be taken before their time? Who by fire and who by water? Who by war and who by beast? Who by famine and who by drought? Who by earthquake and who by plague? Who by strangling and who by stoning? Who will rest and who will wander? Who will be tranquil and who will be troubled? Who will be calm and who tormented? Who will live in poverty and who in prosperity? Who will be humbled and who exalted? 180, join me, but through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree Utshuva Utfilah Utzdaka Ma'avirin et Roa HaGzerah. Page 185. The Eternal shall reign for all time, your God for all generations, Zion. Hallelujah.
More than
Page 208. Eloheinu velohei avotenu ve'imotenu. God who is ours, and God of our fathers and mothers, lead us to holiness through your mitzvot, and may each of us find a portion of Torah that is ours. You bestow such goodness. Teach us to be satisfied and to know the joy of your salvation. Help us to serve you truly with purity of heart, for you are a faithful God whose truth stands forever. Baruch atah Adonai, melech al kol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael, b'yom hazikaron. 214.
Our God and God of our fathers, may thy blessing rest upon us according to the gracious promise of thy word. Yivavrecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha Adonai, Banav Elecha, Michol
safety, grace, peace. Is there anything else we really need ask for? A few moments of silent reflection. Page 223, please rise.
Let's join together in the English of Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kotanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Amorecha.
Page 226.
Shemo yakdav lecha Adonai Let's do that again. Lecha Adonai, Hallelujah, Ve'hagemura, Ve'hakineret, Ve'hanetzach, Ve'hakod. Ki kol bashamayim v'haaretz, Ki kol bashamayim v'haaretz, Lecha Adonai hamadamo, V'akizasei le'ol le'rosh. Yismech Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismech Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismech Hashamayim, V'nagel haaretz. Yismech Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismech Hashamayim, Yismech Hashamayim, V'nagel haaretz. Yerachaya, 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 Yerachaya,
Our Torah reading this morning comes from the book of Genesis, the narrative known as Akedat Yitzchak, the binding of Isaac, in which Abraham is asked by God, Lech Lecha, go forth, alluding to another one of Abraham's faith tests earlier in our scroll, to lead his favorite son Isaac up to the land of Moriah, V'ha'alehu sham le'olah, to offer Isaac there as a burnt offering on one of those mountains that God will show them. It's undoubtedly a difficult text for us here today, but nonetheless, rich and important for us to wrestle with it here on this doorway to a new year. responding to God's call with the famous words, Hineni, faithfully willing to act, Midrash understands Abraham's response to be the language of humility, Lashon Anava. My teacher, Rabbi Norm Cohen, writes, based on Abraham's use of the term Hineni here, Anava, or humility, involves our ability to respond to one another. Realizing this, it's interesting that the word Anava looks like it comes from the Hebrew root word, Ana, to answer or respond. Being humble encompasses the willingness to forgo seeing ourselves as the focal point in the universe. In our biblical story, Abraham hears God's call and indicates his willingness to act, seeing beyond himself, willingness to make a sacrifice there on that mountain, even though he intuits giving of himself. Now here is a lesson for us, Cami. As we stand here on this morning of Rosh Hashanah with our board of trustees, you are so far away. Come. come. Our leadership here, certainly, in these difficult times. You lead before us, all assembled this day, and you lead in so many ways, quietly, in meetings late at night and early in the morning, in efforts to develop this community and to make it the holy, sacred congregation that we are. And so we are grateful to see you standing here as our leadership and for you to offer this blessing now. Cami will begin reading in verse 6. That's page 240 in your Machzor. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Say ha'ala, vayasem al Yitzchak beno, vayikach be'ado et ha'esh ve'et ha'ma'achelet, vayalchu shnechem yachdav, vayomer Yitzchak el Avraham aviv, vayomer avi, Vayomer hine vi'i, Vayomer hine ha'esh v'ha'etzim, v'aye haseh le'olah. Vayomer Avraham Elohim, yireh lo haseh le'olah v'ni. Vayalchu shneihem yachdav, vayavo el hamakom, asher amar lo ha'Elohim, vayiven sham Avraham et hamitzbeach, vayaroch et ha'etzim, vayakod et Yitzchak beno, Vayasem oto al hamitzbeach mimal ha'etzim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temet, v'chayei olam natan l'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai.
To our board and leaders, Cami, don't go anywhere. To our board and leadership, thank you. Thank you for your leadership, for your sacrifice, and for being our partners in this work of holiness. Get out of here, I'm going to talk to her. Cami made sure to pivot out of the way so that your mom can observe and be mom for a moment. Of course, Rabbi Geffen is her mom. Right? And looking out at your dad, Scott, and Josh, and your grandmother who are here, and I look out at a congregation of people who have watched you grow, who have been here for all of those milestone moments and all of these important parts in your family's life. Many with tears in their eyes and smiles on their faces as you, at this moment, step into Jewish leadership and offer us this tradition on this day. This is awesome. Thank you. Go give her a hug. In the presence of our Torah scroll, we turn to that God, the great creator, the great protector, the God who has walked with our ancestors from the beginning of time to this very moment. And we ask for God's support, each of us, as we walk out into a new year filled with as much uncertainty as every year comes with. Pray for God's presence. We pray for God's most precious gift of shalom, of peace, shlemut, of wholeness, and healing. If you're thinking of someone this morning who is in need of a special prayer of healing, I'd invite you to call their names into your hearts, your minds. If you're joining us online, I hope you'll share their names in our chat, and all together we lift each other in our prayer of healing. Baruch atah Adonai, rofech cholim. O God, grant each of us a measure of healing.
Adonai, b'nei Raphael, Moshienu v'nivashea, El Kadol lechol ach Kadol lichreyav ishol. We pray for healing of the body. We pray for healing of the soul, for strength of flesh and mind and spirit. We pray to understand your whole. Oh, please, heal us now. Reflect הנפש ורפואת הגוף, רפואה שלמה, heal us now. Heal us now. הושיענו בטמאך וברכם נחמתך, וראה ונשם עד העולם. מי שברך אבותינו, מי שברך אמותינו, אדוני הושיענה. We pray for healing of our people. We pray for healing of the
To lift and to dress our Torah scroll, we invite Pam Faulkner and Peggy Rubenstein. If you're feeling able, please rise.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה על שלושה דברים על שלושה דברים על שלושה דברים העולם עומד על שלושה דברים על שלושה דברים על שלושה דברים העולם עומד על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים.
Please be seated. We'll continue into the prophetic reading, this coming from the prophet Jeremiah. You can find that text on page 255 in your prayer books. And it's our honor to call forward Allison Shanfield and Ted Pickus to offer the blessings, and Helen Magid to offer words from the prophet.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nevi'im tovim v'ratzah v'divreichem hane'emarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai Habocher baTorah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'nevi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Blessed are you, our God eternal, supreme power of the universe, who called forth noble prophets to speak the truth.
Ko amar Adonai, misachein bamidbar, am sheride charev, haloch lechargio Yisrael. Merachoch Adonai nira li, v'ahavat olam achavtich. Al kein mishachtich chased. Od evnech v'nivnet batulat Yisrael. Od tadi tubayich v'yatzat bim chol mishhakim. Od tati Chamim, Becharei Shimeron, Natu Nitim Bechalelu, Ki Yesh Yom Karu Notzrim, Bechar Ephraim, Kumu, B'na'ale Sion, El Adonai Eloheinu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam מסור כל העלמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן, האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום הזיכרון הזה, שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד, ודברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה, אדוני, מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל ויום הזיכרון.
Blessed are you, God of eternity, who delights in the Torah, in Moses, God's servant, in Israel, God's people, and in the prophets of truth and right.
Yasher Koach, Ted, Allison, and of course to Helen, thank you so much for being with us on our Bima, bringing us Haftarah today. We move into our second opportunity to hear the call of the shofar, page 267. God of remembrance, remember the covenant of our ancestors. We reaffirm it today. Remember, we are a people of noble ideals. Help us to attain them. Remember all your people, all the nations on the road to peace. Bless their efforts. Remember with mercy the binding of Isaac, the sorrow of Sarah, Abraham's words, "Here I am." Our memory fades, but you remember all that we have forgotten. Your presence is a throne where all things matter and nothing is lost. Baruch atah Adonai, Zocher Habrit. Please rise.
Tekiah, Shevari, Teruah, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shevari, Tekiah, Tekiah, Teruah, Tekiah.
Let's remain standing as we move to return the Torah to the Ark, page 277.
It's time, la
It's my pleasure to invite forward the president of our congregation, Jeff Echt, to offer his greetings.
A list of individuals in our NSCI community that have displayed compassion, kindness, and generosity would be just simply too long to list. So let me categorize our clergy. Whether there's a joyous occasion, a regularly scheduled Shabbat service, an unexpected and terribly tragic event, or simply a Tuesday afternoon passing conversation, each of you continue to provide the pastoral and spiritual underpinning that provides incredible comfort. On behalf of my fellow congregants, thanks to the best collection of listeners I know. To NSCI's staff, the adjectives that come to mind are pride and professionalism. This exceptional collection of dedicated individuals allow our congregants, and at times our greater community, to enjoy this building, programming, and events that do not simply fill a calendar, but provide entertainment, joy, and comfort throughout the year. My fellow congregants, a group of engaged, diverse, thoughtful, and kind individuals and families that create a unique fabric that defines NSCI. Whether you are here in person or electronically, thank you. I also want to express appreciation and respect for our existing Board of Trustees, previous boards and leaders, and previous presidents that have led this organization for over 100 years. Without the dedication of our clergy, staff, congregants, and leaders, past and present, we would simply not be in a position to continue to grow and expand as a community. The community that is North Shore Congregation Israel. The state of our congregation is strong. It is strong spiritually, administratively, programmatically, and financially. Spiritually, our clergy, Rabbis Geffen, Green, Daniels, and Cantor Goldstein, continue to find innovative ways to teach and lead us spiritually. Administratively, Todd Brayman and the entire staff continue to provide energy, creativity, and organization that allow NSCI to run so very efficiently. In fact, we saw it today. The organ broke. The team's been preparing for months and months and months. And literally before your eyes, you saw the entire service transform. That doesn't happen by accident. We have a team of professionals that we should all feel very, very proud to be affiliated with. Thank you all very much. Programmatically, the combination of our clergy team, the administrative team, and Dr. Roberta Goodman and all those involved with our school have created an environment, sometimes physically and sometimes virtually, in which participation in all sorts of programming continues to expand. In fact, enrollment in our religious school now exceeds enrollment prior to the pandemic. Financially, the foundation of our financial strength rests on identifiable pillars. We have no debt. We have significant reserves, and our board is committed to maintaining reserves. NSCI has also built a sizable endowment, and as an organization, we are committed to build the endowment as an essential component of NSCI's long-term financial stability. And we benefit from a thoughtful, diligent, and comprehensive budget process. Once again, NSCI has operated on a balanced budget. This solid foundation allows us to look to the future through an optimistic lens. Let's talk about tomorrow, the future. Not 5 or 10 years from now. Let's talk about the next 12 months. The success of the Imagine the Possible campaign puts us in a place where we no longer need to imagine. I will go out on a limb and say that this time next year, with the help of Dean Weinberg and dozens of your fellow congregants, physically, this building will change. We will enjoy a renovated Frank Hall, a renovated Crown Hall, a reconfigured and vastly improved administrative and clergy workspace, and a new vision for our lawn. The Imagine the Possible campaign is another reflection of the generosity of those congregants that have already contributed, and for those contributors that will help us generate sufficient funds to complete a project of the scale and quality that is fitting for this building and consistent with the quality that our congregants expect and frankly deserve. Through the patience and skillful leadership and planning of Marilyn Perlman, Jody Weinberg, Susan Longo, Rachel Stein, our Executive Director Todd Brayman, and other campaign leaders, NSCI is on its way to completing yet another very successful capital campaign. For those that have contributed, thank you. For those that will contribute in the future, thank you for your generosity. This is all wonderful and frankly a bit humbling. It leads me to a question. How did we get here? Fundamentally, what is the foundation to NSCI's success? Put another way, what could be the true foundational element of NSCI? A theme, an element so very essential and all-encompassing that this very notion has fueled and propelled this organization for over 100 years, and one that will certainly be a constant for another 100. However, one cannot see it, touch it, or feel this essential element, but you know it when you experience it. Where do we find an answer to this question? Let's look to a very old book, one that has stood the test of time, the one that I've referred to in the past as the subject of the world's longest running consecutive book club. Meets every Saturday all around the world. It's met for thousands and thousands of years. Yes, let us look to the Torah. More specifically, let's look to Abraham, the very first Jew. One Saturday morning, we were asked a very simple question. Why did God choose Abraham as the first Jew? What made Abraham so very unique and qualified to be the first Jew? After all, his family business was idol making. Literally, they made idols. And if this Jewish thing takes off, he puts his family out of business. To put Abraham in a modern context, he was a true disruptor, a disruptor of biblical proportions in biblical times. Okay, but why Abraham? One word: chesed, kindness. Biblical scholars do not mean kindness of the ordinary variety. Of course, being civil in the Sunset parking lot, helping friends or strangers in need when the occurrence arises, that is true kindness. Abraham's brand of kindness, however, was more than that. Commentators do not describe Abraham's kindness in an episodic manner. No, his kindness was constant and embodied his entire being. A Hasidic scholar describes, Abraham did not merely engage in acts of chesed, but Abraham's whole existence and being were love and compassion. The scholar continues, there are some people whose quality of chesed is dependent on the opportunity to do good for someone else. And when there is no such occasion, they have no connection to chesed. But someone whose whole being is chesed is always compassionate and merciful in potential. And if she is not able to help another person, she still feels the other's heart, living in connection to both their pain and their joy. Modern commentators share a similar perspective and draw a distinction between tzedakah, charitable giving, and chesed, kindness. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs had this to say about chesed. It is tzedakah's other side. Tzedakah is done with material goods, chesed with psychological ones, time and care. Tzedakah is practical support. Chesed is emotional support. Tzedakah is a gift of resources. Chesed, a gift of the person. Even those who lack the means to give tzedakah can give chesed. Chesed rights wrongs. Chesed humanizes fate. At the heart of the Judaic vision is the dream of a society based on chesed. Society with a human face, not one dominated by the competition for wealth or for power. A community based on chesed is a place of grace where everyone feels honored and everyone is at home. Jewishness is not measured by the number of times you walk through these doors. No. Jewish is not like accumulating frequent flyer miles or Peloton workouts. No. Jewishness is not an objective measure. It is a quality, not a quantity. I say quality measured in kindness, dedication to family and to community. In a year that saw incredible hardship, struggle, and loss, this year also included immeasurable amounts of kindness, dedication, and community. This year was incredibly Jewish. NSCI is here every day, every moment, to do what? Not just to perform acts of kindness, but to be prepared to act and react for this community at any time. And that is what occurred this past year. Out of innate instinct, 3 of your fellow congregants that are in this room today, it immediately helped fellow congregants and members of our community after an unthinkable and horrific flurry of events. Why is it so important to be prepared, to have no debt, to have sufficient reserves, a meaningful endowment, and to continue to improve this physical structure through the success of our Imagine the Possible campaign? Why? So we, NSCI, can continue to provide both tzedakah and chesed to our fellow congregants in all shapes and forms on any day of the week for years, decades, and hopefully centuries to come. I proffer that NSCI's entire being, the essence of NSCI, is founded in kindness. That is our NSCI. A place where kindness exudes through our hallways, classrooms, sanctuaries, and through the individuals that comprise NSCI, our fellow congregants, staff, and clergy. In a strange sort of juxtaposition, while it is difficult to imagine all-encompassing chesed, at the same time, we enjoy and experience that privilege right here in our synagogue. So let me end, in the same manner in which I started, with a sincere thank you. On behalf of your fellow congregants, I thank every congregant that has contributed their time, expertise, and financial resources to put NSCI in a position to flourish and to both receive and express kindness. Even more simply, thanks to each of you for your kindness. L'Shana Tova, wishing you and your network of family and friends a happy, healthy, and yes, a very kind New Year.
We turn now to page 284 for our third set of shofar calls. Baruch atah Adonai shomea kol truat amo Yisrael berachamim. Blessed are you in our lives, Adonai. You hear with love the shofar, the true voice of your people, Israel.
Tekiah, Shvari, Tekiah, כי הגדולה.
Yasher Koach.
שפתנו ירב לפניך, ארם ונישא.
שפתנו ירב לפניך, ארם ונישא.
לכל תקייתנו ותקבל ורחמים ורצון
Page 286, Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. So it is with people we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. The stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. On this Yom HaZikaron, this day of remembrance, we remember our friends, we remember our family who have died and are not with us here in this space or around our holiday table like they were in years past. Their memories are for blessing. They inspire us to live in the best of their ways. Their legacy lives on before us. We remember them. Words of Kaddish, page 292. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Alma divara chirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon v'yomechon, chayei techol beit Yisrael, ba'agalah v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah ora, ve'olam me almaya, yitbarach, yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yithalal, shmei dekudsha b'richu, Ela ula ela, mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. O Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru. Amen. Zichronam levracha, may all of their memories be for an abiding blessing. We say together, Amen. Please be seated. Before we conclude with our final song, Ein Kelohenu, on page 299, Words of Gratitude. It's important that you hear it from right here. All of us, we show up this morning regardless. But it's you. It's you who fills this space with the prayerful spirit, with the gifts that each of us bring to this community. And so from all of us here, we thank you for being present, for showing up, for those who are here in our space, for those who join us online. We are grateful to you. We are also grateful to our ushers, to our greeters who welcomed us into this space, setting that appropriate intention for all of us today. To our service participants, everybody who had an honor and helped us in this worship this morning, we thank you. To our choir, to Paul Vanderweel, thank you. This was a particularly challenging service for you, and we're grateful for your voice and your gift of music and song. To our security teams, our administration, our facilities teams who work tirelessly. They are here very early in the morning, and they stay way past any of us. And so when you walk past Alfredo and any of his crew, any of our office and admin staff, any of our security team outside, say thank you. Show your compassion for them and the hard work that they do. A note about the weather. The weather report for tomorrow is chilly, so our second day Rosh Hashanah experience will be inside Perlman Sanctuary rather than outside on our terrace, a bit warmer. All the way through October 14th, you'll see those two large bins that are outside in our north parking lot. Both are High Holy Day collections. One is for the Ark. We'd invite you between now and that second week in October to bring non-perishable kosher food for the Ark. It's labeled the Ark. As Rabbi Geffen shared last night, the scene in food pantries around our area and around our country is dire. The shelves are empty. We've received many emails from Moraine Township, from our friends at the Ark. Given the rising cost of food prices, and given the need in our area, and I don't mean them, I mean in our community, the need is great. So please, between now and October 14th, pick up some kosher non-perishable foods, place it in that bin, and we will be able to help support people in our community. Next to that Ark bin is a bin you'll see Cradles to Crayons, a spectacular organization. Many leaders of the organization are sitting before us, helped to bring that organization to Chicago, help children 0 to 12 years old with books and toys and clothing and all of the things that they need to thrive and survive. And they do it with dignity, and they do it with so much love. And we can help support that effort by bringing clothes, books, toys, children's items all the way through October 14th as well. Please do that to include tzedakah and tikkun olam in your Holy Day observance this year. I think that's it, right? All right. Why don't we all stand up one more time? Let's turn to page 299. Join us, Ein Kelohenu. Shana Tova, may it be a year of sweetness and blessing and health for us all.